Hey everybody, it's Katie Harris, owner of Philly Wellness Center, and this is a series that I'm doing on semaglutide. Lots of questions that people have that I wanted to answer, and one of them has been about my own experience. So, I've been on the semaglutide for a little less than a year, and I wanted to kind of go over my experience with it, why I did it, and kind of my fears of doing it in the first place. So, I mean, semaglutide has been around for quite a while. I certainly have known about it, and I thought there was a lot of hype around it, and really thought it was just kind of a fad type of thing. And it would kind of go away, or something horrible would happen, like a previous medications like with fen or orlistat, which was dubbed like the worst drug ever because of the side effects that it had. But semaglutide has persisted, and my sister had started it first, and she had such amazing results with it that I was just kind of like, I need to look into this, figure out what it is, what's going on, and why she's having such great results, and what's going to happen if she stays on it. What are the side effects? What are the consequences of being on a medication like this? And those are the things that I really wanted to get to the bottom of. And the more I kind of delved into semaglutide, and understanding what it is, what it isn't, and how it works, the more I was like, this is amazing, right? And I hate to sound like jumping on the bandwagon, but it is an amazing hormone. And I run a Philly Wellness Center, is basically a hormone optimization clinic and wellness clinic, and that's what I do. Is I optimize hormones, and GLP-1 is like the ultimate hormone. It is a wonderful, wonderful hormone that does amazing things for the body. And so I like that aspect of it, because I like treating with natural things. And this is one of them. So I wanted to, if I just go to the next slide, which is, my why, right? So on the right, that is me about a year ago in 2023. I believe that was a conference I went to in July of 2023. And that was kind of the worst moment. And some people look at the picture and they're like, oh, it doesn't look that bad, look that big. But it was big for me, right? And I've always been, about 140. That's my weight. Like, I'm always right there. I'm happy at that weight. That's where all my clothes fit. I have this nice wardrobe that I've collected over the years. And little by little, and I say little by little, but it was over the course of maybe a year. I mean, maybe that's my perception's off. Maybe it was 2 years, but all of a sudden, I just started gaining weight in my abdomen, on my thighs, my butt, just kind of the typical area. And I'd never had a belly before, right? I never had a pot belly. I never had any of the stuff that I have. Like, you can see my waist to hip ratio on the right here is pretty significant, right? So, this is a metabolic picture going into diabetes, metabolic dysfunction. Your waist to hip ratio is extremely important. So, I wanted to double down and do the things that were right, like, eat less, move more. Come to find out that is just, completely wrong. And I didn't lose weight eating less and moving more. I just got more stress, more depressed, and just, completely unhappy with way things. And then when you get depressed and you're not motivated, I don't know, you just stop trying, right? I couldn't even bring myself to join a gym. I had issues just getting off the couch, and then you start blaming yourself, and it just compounds, and it's a horrible place to be. So, I feel for anybody that's in that moment where they just feel like nothing actually works and nothing they do is going to matter. So when my sister started to lose weight and I started looking into GLP-1, I was like, okay, I can do this. So I started doing the GLP-1, and it took about the first month, well, the first time I took it, I took a higher dose than I should have. I do caution my patients against this now because I wanted to rev things up, like, let's go, let's go, let's go. I'm going to start at this higher dose and then we'll lose lots of weight really fast. And I get that instant gratification. But instead, what happened is I got really sick and I couldn't eat. I literally went off coffee it took me 6 months to get back to coffee. I'm not quite sure why, but I couldn't stand the smell of it. The food, I didn't eat for almost a week. I had to force myself to eat little bites of something. And I was I took the 0.5 dose, which wasn't, 0.25 is the start, but 0.5 through my body until it was like, what the hell just happened here? I remember waking up the morning after I had taken that dose, opened the refrigerator, and then ran straight to the bathroom to vomit because I couldn't stand the sight of food. It made me so sick. So I highly, highly recommend starting at the lowest possible dose, which is the 0.25, and that might even be too much for some people. So if you take 0.25 and you have symptoms, you need to back down. Okay, so we can go to 0.2, we can go to 0.15, we can go to 0.1, we can go to 0.05. There's no limit of where we can start aside from, having enough medication to actually inject. But 0.05 is basically your smallest dose. And if you're having symptoms, then you need to start lower and go slower. But anyway, so I stayed on 0.25 for quite a bit of time. And really, I kind of cycle up to 0.5 and then go back down, and I take weeks off and just kind of cycle the GLP-1. And, this is on this picture on the left. This is me in July of 2024. So I've been able to maintain this weight and basically not doing anything differently. So the things that GLP-1 did for me was it stopped me from eating snacks. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. If you asked me what my diet was, I would say, well, I don't eat that much. I just eat breakfast, not even breakfast. I have coffee for breakfast. I have a small lunch and a dinner around 6 o'clock and nothing in between. But I didn't eat in between. I seem to conveniently forget that I ate in between meals. I was eating Cheez-Its because my son had them around, and they're just good. And then after dinner, felt the need to have a ice cream sandwich because they're good. But I really needed that sugar fix, and coming home every night and having a glass of wine because I felt stressed and, had all these things going on. And, what's one glass of wine? It's not really going to hurt you, right? But all of those calories do add up. And as you're going through the perimenopausal period, they certainly don't help because they're empty, useless calories. Your body can't use Cheez-Its as a food source because it's not really food. It can't use ice cream as a food source. Most of it's chemicals, and the liver's trying to break down all the chemicals, and your body's all stressed out. Alcohol, your body cannot use alcohol. Alcohol is just a toxin to the body. So no amount is good and no amount is okay. And when you take alcohol, you take it knowing that there's no benefit whatsoever. So don't try and trick yourself into believing that there's any benefit whatsoever from drinking. It is a hedonistic pleasure that you might indulge in, but it has no benefit to the body. So anyway, those three things were certainly not helping. But also at this point, and especially at this weight, I was exhibiting insulin resistance, right? So with insulin resistance, what happens is insulin, whenever you eat something, it goes into the body, and insulin's job is to put it somewhere, right? It has to store glucose. Glucose can't just live in the bloodstream. If you have excess glucose in the bloodstream, you can go into a diabetic coma. And that's really extreme and exceptional. So glucose has to be placed somewhere. It has to be stored. And what insulin does is put it in the cells, and it puts it in the liver to be converted into glucagon for easy access. And when those two, I guess, organs or whatever you want to, cells are full, when they're done and they're like, no more, stop. But the person still keeps eating, the food keeps coming in, and insulin's like, I got to do something with it. So the first thing it does is put it into subcutaneous fat. And you have a finite capacity for subcutaneous fat. Subcutaneous fat is, it's actually pretty good for you. It keeps your organs nice and warm and temperature controlled, and it's easy access. So if you're running a marathon and your cells are depleted and you need something, you can break down subcutaneous fat into glucose very quickly. But if that's full, because you do have a finite capacity, and maybe it's around 10 pounds, maybe less for some people, more for others, the next thing insulin will do, because it has to do something with the glucose so you don't go into a diabetic coma and die, is it puts it in your visceral organs. So you have an infinite capacity to store visceral fat. And visceral fat is the bad fat. Okay, you don't need any visceral fat. But so it'll put fat around the liver, you get fatty liver. All right, this is a devastating consequence, and it is rampant in the United States because of our diets. Fatty liver is a huge, huge problem that is just going to, in the next decade, it's going to be massive. Fatty pancreas, so that puts fat around the pancreas, can cause pancreatitis. Fat around the adrenals, it stresses out the adrenals. Fat around any organ, it'll put fat and around the muscles. So your muscle fibers get fatty streaks, right? And you can get big, and there's no limit to how big you can get. So you can get to be 500 pounds, 800 pounds, 1,000 pounds, 1,300 pounds. Like, it's, I don't know what the biggest weight limit is, but typically what happens is that people die, right? Because their cardiac function can't keep up. So not because they can't store fat anymore, but because they can't perfuse. So that's the extreme case. Obviously it wasn't to that limit, but the problem here, this is like one of the only dresses that I could wear. I have, a beautiful wardrobe of dresses that I've collected over the years and have not been able to wear them because none of them fit. And when your size doubles from an 8 to 10 to 12 to 14 to 16, it's really depressing. So I, definitely wanted to start. I decided to start the GLP-1, and it did take me about 3 months to start losing weight. So getting, from, I was about 40 pounds overweight in this right picture. So losing the first 20 pounds came off in about 3 to 5 months. And then the next 10 to 15 pounds came off 3 to 6 months later. So I would say, in total, it took me about 8 to 9 months to get down to this weight where I am here. And this is where I'm happy. Like, I don't feel the need to lose more weight. I can fit into my dresses, I can fit into my clothes. But what it did is as soon as the weight started coming off, I felt motivated. I joined the gym and started playing squash. And then, that activity triggers a lot of, that can trigger some weight loss as well. I had started optimizing my hormones. So going on testosterone. Testosterone revs up the metabolism, right? That's one of the features. That's one of the things that it does. So not only did it give me energy, but it helped me to add muscle, and estrogen shreds fat, right? Those are the two opposing things that testosterone does. Testosterone builds muscle, estrogen shreds fat. And as you change your diet, your microbiome changes, right? So the microbiome is really, really important, and you need a healthy microbiome, and that can determine whether you lose weight or you don't lose weight. And in another video, I talk about resistant weight loss, particularly on GLP-1, but the two hormones that can prevent you from losing weight are insulin and cortisol, but also the microbiome. So the three things that you want to really think about, because those hormones regulate fat storage, and when they spike, that's when you have problems. But anyway, so after about, I guess, 8 months and being at my ideal weight, having my hormones optimized, my energy levels came back, feeling more positive and good, and being able to wear the clothes that I had. And it saved me the expense of not having to go out and buy a whole new wardrobe, which I really didn't want to do. So things that changed for me, one, I still don't eat breakfast. I'm not a big breakfast person, but realizing that, eating in a certain time frame was important, because I just mentioned insulin. If you every time you put food in your mouth, your insulin spikes, right? And one of the ways that you can get fat is constant insulin spikes. So if you're eating every 2 hours because your trainer said you need constant food, you're spiking insulin every 2 hours, and you never have that chance to utilize fat, right? Because there's always glucose available. If there's always glucose available, then you never use fat. So really condensing my eating from between like 11 to 7. So I'd have lunch around 11 or 12, and dinner. Actually, we eat dinner a little bit earlier than that because my son has lots of things to do. So we generally eat about 5 or 6, nothing after dinner. So those 2 meals, and as much as possible, nothing in between, though I do have teas like herbal teas or green teas. And that's been really, really helpful in maintaining the weight. But the GLP-1, one of the things it does is it reduced my desire for alcohol. So I actually used to have like a bottle a week or something like that. And it didn't seem like that much. But once I started the GLP-1, I've basically never felt like or forgotten to open a bottle. So I have tons and tons. And then I was part of a wine club and they're shipping me wine. And I'm like, I haven't even drunk the wine that you sent last month. So I had to cancel that. So that saved me a lot of money by canceling the wine club. Not buying ice cream sandwiches, which are expensive, and Cheez-Its, which are also expensive, given that they're not really food, has helped the budget as well as my waistline. So that's been a significant improvement, and just really wanting to exercise and okay, what else can I do to improve my health? Because I feel motivated. I feel like I want to do more. I feel like I'm on a good pathway and that it's not hopeless. So that's been the real aspect of it. So there's lots more stuff that I can do. One of the things I'm really trying to focus on now is making sure that I'm strength training, because particularly at this age, in your 40s, 50s, and beyond, this is the peak of where you start. Basically your descent into old age, if you will. And if you don't have muscle now, it's very hard to get muscle later. So that it would be my advice for anybody starting GLP-1 is to make sure that you strength train throughout the whole thing. Don't lose the weight and say, now I'm going to start strength training. You want to be strength training all along. And it will help define your muscles and define your body and help you to really focus on how your clothes feel rather than in absolute numbers. So that's been, my journey with it. I do stick with it. I cycle it. So I don't take it every week. For the summer, I went off for a few weeks, didn't really gain any weight, which was great. And when I came back, I went back on just the lowest dose. And, I might do it once or twice a month at this point, and not stick as adherently to it. I just want to do some maintenance and cycle it, because the GLP-1, it is a hormone that's in the gut, it's in the brain. It does help with inflammation, and it can help with chronic conditions. I'm just using it for weight loss at this point, and weight maintenance. But I really don't need it. I don't need to lose much more weight. So, looking to keep the dose as low as possible, and just cycling it so I don't max out on it or, get resistant to it or any of the other issues. And so really looking at gut health, hormone optimization, and other ways that I can really optimize my health and well-being. So I hope this is helpful. I hope it's inspirational so you don't have to feel hopeless. The GLP-1s are an amazing medication for the right person. It is natural. It's a hormone in your body. So, and it works. So if you were in Pennsylvania, Delaware, or New Jersey and you're interested in weight loss, feel free to call us anytime, schedule an appointment, and we're happy to work with you. Thanks so much.